Good morning, Lascian Corla. I'd like to thank the Minister for coming in, and particularly to thank him for coming in and taking a matter that pertains to his personal responsibilities as Minister. Minister, on the 1st of December 2016, the then Minister said in the Dáil, the Wildlife Amendment Bill 216 is an important piece of legislation. The bringing forward of this bill is a commitment in the programme for a partnership government. Now, after that, that bill went through the Dáil, through the Shannon where it was amended. And when the government collapsed in 2020, the bill fell at that stage because all bills fall at the end of a Dáil session. So what had to be done at that stage was to bring the bill back into the Dáil to just either accept or reject the Shannon amendments and finalise the bill. Now, just like the mobility scheme, we seem in this country to come into a world where we talk about doing things but nothing ever happens. Now, I think the House is owed a detailed explanation of how it has taken 2 years since the election. You'll argue, well, the government was informed, but that's another day's work. But it's nearly a year and a half in Dáil time since the government was formed. And we still haven't got this very simple process back into the Dáil to finalise this bill and bring it into law. And therefore, the question we have today is, when will this bill be before Dáil Éireann for completion? And, you know, if there really is a procedural issue with the Count Corla, I would have thought that he could have sorted it out in a year and a half. In fact, I would have thought he could sort it out in a week, not to mind a year and a half. I want
to thank the deputies for raising this. Hopefully it will help expedite matters, but I don't think it's as simple as, and there are some complexities here which I'll try and outline. The principal purpose of the Wildlife Amendment Bill, as initiated, was to provide a review of raised bog habitats, the making, amendment and revocation of natural heritage area orders, and for the purposes to amend the Wildlife Amendment Act of 2000. The bill was originally presented to Dáil Éireann. There was a very constructive debate on the bill in both houses, including the adoption of the Deputy's own proposals in relation to extending its scope and providing for a review of blanket bog natural heritage areas, and later in the Shannon in relation to placing a duty on public bodies to promote the conservation of biodiversity. I think this was a really important and innovative section of the bill. As the Deputy will be aware, the bill has completed all stages in the Dáil and the Shannon and has been returned to the Dáil for consideration of the various amendments made by the Shannon. And that is to say, the bill was at what colloquially is known as the creamless stage. When the bill lapsed from the dissolution of the 32nd Dáil on the 14th of January in 2020. Standing Order DSO 227 provides that where a bill passed by the Dáil is subsequently amended and passed by the Shannon, those amendments are then returned to the Dáil for its consideration. DSO 228 provides that the Dáil may accept, amend or reject the Shannon amendments. Amendments in the Dáil to the Shannon's amendments may only be moved where they are consequential upon the acceptance, amendment or rejection of a Shannon amendment. There is no mechanism under standing orders to move amendments to a bill returned to the Dáil under DSO 227 other than those set out in DSO 228. It is the Government's intention to proceed to seek approval of the Oireachtas for the important changes proposed in the bill. However, deputies will appreciate that the sequence of events I have described is an unusual one. My officials have been working with colleagues in the House of the Oireachtas to establish how it would be possible and what might be the appropriate procedure around restoring the bill to the Dáil order paper and to clarify the implications of any decision in this regard. Ultimately, this process would of course be subject to the ruling of the Count Corla on examination of the finalised text of the proposed restoration motion and any associated amendments. Deputies will appreciate that restoration of this bill to the order paper is not straightforward. However, once the complexities have been resolved, it is my intention to bring a memo to Government in relation to the next steps for the bill, and I hope that this will be possible in the early part of 2022. And just to give reassurance to the deputies that I have met with a number of deputies and Senator Alison Mary Higgins to discuss issues of concern. This is a high priority for me and for my department. There's other elements in it that around the statutory footing of the National Biodiversity Action Plan, which are really important to me as well. well. So we do want to expedite this as soon as we can, and I really do appreciate the deputies raising this today, because it certainly puts focuses minds on getting this back onto the order paper.
First of all, I'd be very interested to hear was a meeting with Deputy Fitzmaurice. That certainly wasn't with me, and I think both of us had a big interest in this particular bill. But to be quite honest, I'm still totally baffled. The government was elected at the end of June. It's been a year. And from June to what's nearly now December to resolve the issue. Now, it seems to me, in my little simple mind, there was two ways very, very quickly around this. Number one was to change the standing orders of the Dáil to deal for this eventuality, because I presume what happened was nobody thought of this eventuality. It was highly unlikely. But the unlikely does happen. Or the other way was to reintroduce as a new bill in the Dáil, the bill as was ready to go as passed in the Seanad as the Wildlife Amendment Bill 2020, or no, it will be 2021. Put it really quickly through the Dáil, put it really quickly through the Seanad, it's all been agreed, and then OXO were home and dried. So it doesn't seem to me that that procedure should have held us up, which you're trying to tell us, that procedure should have held us up for a year, and as I said, we're heading for a year and a half now, because you're told us it wouldn't happen.
Certainly, I think I'd be more than happy to meet with the deputies to try and expedite this. It's certainly, as I said in my opening statement, it's our priority to try and get this through. But the complexities, as I've outlined, are there, and I think we have to try and work with them and try and get to resolve it. We did discuss it informally, I think around probably shortly after the government was formed, and I did have a number of meetings with Senator Alice Mary Higgins in relation to it as well, to try and move this along. So I think I just want to give assurance that it is of our highest priority to try and get this resolved once and for all. And I'd be more than happy to meet with the deputies to discuss it further and see how we can move this along.
Thank you, Minister.